Microplastics. They're in the ground, they're in the air, and they're in the water that we drink. As a matter of fact, they're even in every part of our body. What are microplastics? Are they harmful to our health? And how bad is it, really? For decades, we've known that microplastics don't just disappear, they break down into smaller and smaller pieces. First discovered in the oceans in the 1970s, they didn't even have a name till 2004, when marine ecologist Richard Thompson called them microplastics. Since then, scientists have found them everywhere, from the deepest trenches in the ocean to the highest mountaintops, even in human tissue. But here's the thing, the data isn't clear. Some say it's a crisis, and others say it's overblown. So, what's the truth? And good morning, tablers, and good morning, bro. How are
Good
you?
morning, man. I'm doing okay. We're up, we're at it. It's the sun. We beat the sun up today, so I mean, hey, it's a great day.
Yeah. You really? You sure?
Not really, no.
You didn't want to crawl out this morning. But anyway, we're talking about microplastics.
Micro.
And Scott got us into this mess, and he's not here with us today to help
Yeah,
us get out of it.
I know it.
But
Turkey burger.
since I heard about it, what was your gut response to what you learned?
Ah, man. I think my initial text, when we first started talking about it and reviewing it, I think my initial text to you was, "We can't eat or drink anything. We're literally poisoning ourselves." Was the my gut that first just thing that went through my head. And
I mean, it's so prevalent, and I mean, my mind started like really spinning as to okay, what all in my house and where is it ending up was kind of shocking, but not shocking to me. Um, I think it was just like looking around and finding out just how much plastic is around us every day.
hadn't even thought about it. Really hadn't paid any attention to it until this.
Right. And so, again, I just want to welcome the tablers in and saying that this is kind of an eye-opening thing, and we do have a poll over in chat. If you will
Oh,
answer that poll over there, that would be awesome. Kind of want to know where you're at before we go through this, and then we'll kind of talk about it a little bit later on with the tablers to see where they're at after viewing some of this information. And so, without further ado,
without.
yeah, we are going to start in the starting point, and that is what are microplastics?
Well, let's get in.
Okay, let's talk about microplastics. What are microplastics? Microplastics, as the name suggests, are little itty bitty bits of plastic. How itty bitty? Well, microplastics range in size from 1 micron, which is 1/1000th of a millimeter, all the way up to 5 millimeters in diameter. Okay, so anything in that size range is considered a microplastic. Anything smaller than that, so anything smaller than 1 micron in diameter, 1/1000th of a millimeter in diameter, is considered a nanoplastic. And indeed, there are lots of microplastics floating around in the air. There are lots of nanoplastics floating around in the air. There's lots of both of those things in the ocean. There are a lot of those things in food, especially packaged food. There are a lot of those things lining cups. There are a lot of those things in everything that we consume, essentially. So what does it mean to have all these microplastics and nanoplastics floating around in our environment and going into our body through fluids and foods, etc.? Well, there is some serious concern because these microplastics potentially can disrupt cellular health, organ health, and could potentially lead to certain forms of disease. We'll talk about the ways they could potentially do that. However, I want to also emphasize that your body is incredibly good at dealing with foreign invaders. It's very good at getting rid of stuff that isn't good for it. However, microplastics and nanoplastics have been shown to lodge within specific tissues and stay there for long periods of time. So you'll notice during today's episode, I'm going to go back and forth between the stuff that's really scary and then reassuring you that we're not sure whether or not we need to be that scared about these microplastics and nanoplastics yet. Okay, what I want to do is give you the evidence so you can decide how much effort you put into limiting your exposure to these microplastics and nanoplastics and how much effort you put into trying to rid your body of them. Okay, I'm not here to paint the picture one way or the other because frankly, the data just don't line up with one argument or the other, that they're extremely dangerous or that they're nothing to worry about.
Well, as you can see, folks, there's a lot in that little 2-minute clip right there that we get to unpack. And one of the first things I want to talk about is just how tiny these little slivers actually are. I mean, 1/1000th of a millimeter before you go to nano from micro. Now that doesn't seem like a big designation, but we're talking about so small that most of the time you can't even see it. You don't pay attention to it. And it's like, bro, this stuff is like, how do you stop something? How do you stop it? But also how something so small can get anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and everywhere apparently. Uh,
Right. It one of the things that stuck out to me during my research on this is that it just gets smaller, but it never goes away.
right. That's the.
And yeah,
It
and
doesn't decompose. It doesn't break down. The same way. And I mean that's I mean, think about this. And I mean, it was before our lifetime, but I mean, in our lifetime, I guess too, plastic was kind of once seen as this revolutionary design, this thing that lasted, this thing that was durable, and it didn't break if you dropped it, and you could use it and reuse it and clean it. It was light, durable, convenient, even,
yeah,
and
some of my earliest memories with my dad was getting involved with uh, I think it called it plastic clad or something like that. And it was just like this amazing thing. And then just so many inventions came out of
right.
it.
My
And
yeah, my first remember, I guess, really looking back, Tupperware. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, they
yeah,
had Tupperware parties. Do you remember
Tupperware,
that?
yes, yes, and yeah, Tupperware. I mean, I somewhere buried in our shipping container, my dishes and everything. I still have a blue Tupperware cup, you know, and love that thing. It's so comfortable. But but you know what we've learned? I mean, bro, is that plastics don't go away.
Right,
I
right.
mean, it's we've heard of forever chemicals, forever things. Well, plastic kind of, I mean, sort of falls into that,
So you're
and
saying it's just one more thing to worry about. You know?
well, I mean, I guess, I mean, what do we do? I mean, if they're everywhere, what happens when they get inside of us? What happens when they get in our food, in our, everything, of our bodies? I mean, how do you get, I don't know.
Right.
It, it's
So
crazy.
the
And
question,
how, the why, I guess. I mean,
yeah, I started thinking about, well, they're saying it's in the air. Well, they were even saying that it was in like the deepest trenches and at
right,
the highest mountaintops that it's been found. And then it's found in practically everything in the ground. And I thought, well, what about rainwater? Does that like get rid of it, for us or whatever? But
right.
I don't think it gets rid of it.
No, I mean, and it's, man, I mean, it kind of, you kind of laugh about it. It's like when you start really thinking about it, it's like my chicken dinner came pre-wrapped,
Yeah, I know.
and it's like, yeah.
This is where our mind started to go. I just, just how prevalent plastic is in our life these
Right.
days.
I started looking around the house, seeing it on the countertop, seeing it in the refrigerator, opening the refrigerator. How much of my refrigerator's plastic inside? Uh, freezer, all those things. And it's like, I mean, I looked around just in my kitchen. I didn't even never mind the rest of the house, just in my kitchen and my car.
They're,
It's
your
everywhere.
cars are made of, so many parts inside your car are made of plastics.
Yeah.
And what I thought was really interesting was something that Scott said. He
Uh,
said when Richard, which is my brother-in-law, brought it up to him about this, he had some kind of a plastic container right on the countertop, and he kind of scraped it across the top of that countertop and said, "See that? Every time you do that, it leaves these little fine microplastics on that
yeah.
countertop that gets
Which is,
basically
yeah,
like
it's,
in the air or whatever, and gets stirred
and then,
up."
and then we turn around and set food or set things on that countertop, and there it is. I mean, not that it wasn't already there probably anyway, but uh, and I mean that's just the fact that they're everywhere. Now, what really got me going, bro, was when they started talking about. I mean, and we'll give the link to that video and stuff later. But
Yeah.
when they started talking about where all in the human body they've been found, and which brings that question of can they be harmful? I mean, that's
Right.
uh,
Yeah, that's right. There's been a lot of research, into the tissue, and of course, we're going to find out about that here in a few minutes. But it was literally found in every organ
every
in our body. Your heart, your brain, your liver, your
yeah
even other
private
parts,
private parts.
parts, and all of that,
Right.
and it really starts to make you think, and like I said, you start wondering, okay, uh, exactly what does this mean for us, right?
Right.
And I know that we're about to watch a video here in just a
Right.
second of Dr. Well, it's not doctor, he's a professor of
Right.
neurology and
But
ophthalmology
you
at
know,
Stanford University. But he's going to be talking about that it has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier.
right, which is crazy. I mean, that part of it that it can reach the brain itself. I mean, and I mean, if they're inside of us, what does that mean? I mean, really,
Right. That's right. And so, with that being asked, let's find out.
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
See you in a
ready?
few minutes. Yeah, let's do it, man. We'll see you. See y'all back in a couple minutes. Yeah.
So, in the last couple of years, there's been an explosion in the number of scientific studies exploring which tissues of the human body, so not just animal models, but the human body, contain microplastics and nanoplastics. Okay, so by examining postmortem tissues, that is, tissues from people who are deceased, it's been discovered that there are microplastics and nanoplastics lodged in the brain. So, if you take the brain of a deceased adult human, what you find is that they have about 0.5% of the total weight of the brain from microplastics. So this is about a teaspoon of salt or sugar's worth of microplastics. Might not seem like much, but if you think about how little neurons are, a typical neuron will have a cell body. This is the area that contains the nucleus with all the DNA and so forth. The cell bodies of neurons vary in size tremendously. They can be as small as 5 to 8 microns across, to as much as, gosh, I've seen some neurons down the microscope that are, 50 microns. I've seen some that are 100 microns across. It depends where you look in the nervous system. Okay, so if you start to think about a half teaspoon of powder of microplastics and nanoplastics, that's a lot of microplastics and nanoplastics that could be distributed in lots of different places in the brain. And a little bit later, we'll talk about what the potential impact is of these microplastics and nanoplastics on the function of particular types of neurons that may impact things like neurodevelopmental trajectories. Okay, the argument has been made, I'm not making this argument, but the argument has been made that microplastics and nanoplastics may correlate with things like autism, may correlate with things like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I don't actually believe that the data there are strong enough to make those arguments at all. However, I will tell you that the presence of microplastics and nanoplastics in the brains, that is postmortem tissue, okay, so deceased people taking the brain, chopping up the brain, looking at it down the microscope and seeing microplastics, and then quantifying the amount of microplastics in different compartments of the brain and distributed across the brain, that is concerning to me in the sense that there's enough of it in there, and the function of neurons in the nervous system is precise enough that you could imagine, given that these microplastics and nanoplastics are lodged in particular categories of neurons that do in fact impact things like reward and motivation, things like movement, etc., that they could be impacting the function of the nervous system, but there's no direct causal relationship, at least not in humans. There's some interesting data in animal models. We'll get back to that a little bit later. So there's microplastics and nanoplastics in brain. You'll find microplastics and nanoplastics in other tissues that have a blood organ barrier. What do I mean by that? Well, the brain is encapsulated in the so-called BBB, the blood-brain barrier. And that's because your brain tissue, because it doesn't turn over across the lifespan, you don't produce many new neurons. There are a few places you produce new neurons, like the olfactory bulb, the dentate gyrus of the hippocampus, a few places, but these are far and few between. Most of your brain tissue that you're born with is the brain tissue that you're going to die with, provided you don't lose that brain tissue through the course of your lifespan through a head injury or something like that. The neurons you have when you are born actually are far more numerous than the neurons you have at the time when you die. This is important, and it's one of the reasons we have a blood-brain barrier. Nature is very smart. It designed a barrier so that molecules that might be dangerous to the brain can't enter the brain, and that's what the BBB is for. Microplastics and nanoplastics are making it from the bloodstream into the brain. Okay, this is what I mean when I say they can cross the blood-brain barrier. Then if we take a step back and we ask ourselves, what are some other tissues in the body that have a very robust barrier from the blood? Because a lot of things get into the blood, and that's not necessarily good, but it's not necessarily bad if you can excrete those things, right? We have a lot of detoxification mechanisms that include our liver detoxification, etc. But if these particles are getting from the blood into the brain, what are some other tissues that they're getting into that have these thick barriers or these very stringent barriers? As you can imagine, two other tissues that have very stringent blood to organ barriers are the blood testicular barrier. Why would that be? Okay, why would you protect brain? Well, it can't renew. You don't want those neurons to get contaminated with things, so you put a BBB in, a blood-brain barrier. You also put a blood testicular barrier in males. Why? Well, that's where the DNA are. That's where the so-called germ cells are. So you don't want things getting into the testicle and mutating the DNA there, because then those mutated DNA could be passed on to offspring. Guess what? Microplastics and nanoplastics can cross the blood testicular barrier. And in fact, there was a lot of press this last year about microplastics and nanoplastics being present in every human testicle that was analyzed in, or I should say, from postmortem tissue. Likewise, there's a blood follicle barrier in females. Okay, this is where the eggs come from. And microplastics and nanoplastics can cross the blood follicular barrier. So this is why people are starting to get concerned, right? I suppose we shouldn't be so surprised that we're inhaling microplastics, given that they are everywhere. I should mention that there wasn't much plastic around or in use prior to the 1950s. If any of you have ever seen the movie The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman, this is the only time you'll see somebody driving eastward across the Bay Bridge, all right, from San Francisco toward Berkeley on the top deck. It actually runs in the other direction. They shut down the Bay Bridge. That's in The Graduate. And the other thing that's in The Graduate is this famous scene, if you're old enough like me to remember the movie The Graduate. Dustin Hoffman's lying in the pool. It's after his graduation. He's lying in the pool. He doesn't really know what he's going to do with his life. And this guy comes up to him and he says, you know, the future is plastics. And it became this kind of famous line or pseudo-famous line. Now, that movie takes place at a time when plastics were really booming as an industry. And indeed, polyethylene, polyurethane, these plastic materials were developed because they were very durable. They were long-lasting. In fact, they are not biodegradable. They're not broken down very easily, if at all, and certainly not within biological tissues. These plastics went from essentially non-existent in the 1940s and prior to in pretty much everything involved in manufacturing, okay? Even in different aspects of surgical implants and things of that sort. So plastics are indeed everywhere, and that started in the 1950s, hence that line from The Graduate. So it's not surprising that microplastics and nanoplastics would get into our body, right? If they're everywhere in our environment and we're inhaling them all day, then of course they'll get into our lungs, and then they're small enough they can get into our bloodstream. But as I mentioned, the body has these cleansing systems or these detoxification systems to remove things, but they're not removing the microplastics, or at least not all of them, from brain, testicle, and follicle. And I should point out that microplastics and nanoplastics are also found in all the other tissues of the body. In fact, I don't think there's a single investigation of human tissue or animal tissue for microplastics or nanoplastics where they didn't get a positive result, meaning where they didn't find them in the tissue. You can find them in not just the upper lungs, but in the lower lungs. So they're getting deposited in the lower lungs. You can find them in the bloodstream from a blood draw. You can find them in human placenta. and you can find them in what's called the meconium, which is the first stool that a baby takes. This is typically taken within the stool is taken. It's taken by the doctor. It's actually analyzed for various things. It contains bile and a bunch of other things. It's actually an important indicator of the health of the child. It turns out that this first stool that happens in the first 24 hours or so after birth, when that's been analyzed for microplastics, there too you find microplastics and nanoplastics. And that's really got people concerned, because what this means is that microplastics and nanoplastics that mothers are ingesting, or that they somehow have lodged in their bodies, are making their way to the fetus.
So
Wow.
that's exactly right. Is what all parts is that actually in? It was in the brain, it was in the lungs, it was
Right.
in the placenta, it was in the testes. But
Yeah.
the part that really got to me is when I thought about that first stool that a baby has
Mhm.
right after it's born. They take a
Right.
sample of that and they're finding microplastics there. So that means that it had passed from the mother who was feeding that baby
Yeah.
into the child itself before it's ever born. What
Wow.
hope do we have?
Right. Well, I mean, that kind of, I
Good,
mean,
good.
it is everywhere. I mean, it's how do I mean, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but I mean, it's you can run, but you can't hide almost, uh, but I mean, because it is everywhere. And I mean, like I said, brains, lungs, bloodstream, all those places. And the kicker is they're not just passing through, they're lodging there, they're staying there, they're digging in,
Right.
and I mean, it's like, what do you do with that? I mean,
Well, I don't know if you guys seen the thumbnail for this week, but the thing that really got to me is that they said that there was a teaspoon on average. Now he broke it down into some other type of a measurement, but he also
right,
said it's roughly about a teaspoon that's scattered throughout our brain, and was
right.
making the point that that our neurons are not that big, and if they're lodging into, maybe that explains a lot with me. Maybe.
Plastic brain.
Right, and that
Uh,
was the other thing, it was so funny, it's just life in plastic. You remember that song from the Barbie girl? Life
yes,
in Plastic, so
so
fantastic.
fantastic.
Boy, was that prophetic or
I
what?
mean, I hated that song, but yeah, it's like,
Right, yeah, that was
oh
great.
man, but I mean, look, you know, I don't need a PhD to know that eating plastics isn't an ideal situation.
That's one of the things that I thought too whenever he was talking is this guy's really being overly cautious about what he
Right,
says, uh,
right,
and, and I don't know about you guys, but it makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to comparing and contrasting the trajectory of like cancers and different types of things like that. Maybe even it goes into dementia, and
right.
so uh, um, it it
Well, I
just
mean,
it can't be just benign. You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, I mean, that's a whole thing, and I mean, the question is, it really hurting us today at the current exposure levels? I mean, is it? I mean, I'm asking. It's a question, because I mean, I know one of the things that he even said that the data's not clear, one
Yeah.
side or the other, and but we need to pay attention, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah, I don't think I want to ignore it. As a matter of fact, even after telling my wife about it, we'll be talking a little bit about some of the things that
right,
happened this week a little later on in the video, so stay tuned. But, let's just say she's already like, "Let's get rid of the plastic under the bins,
right,
get all these plastic containers out of here, out of here, out of here." And something that Scotty said a little bit over in chat was he was using it in microwaves, and it's like,
yeah, all the time, yeah.
even if it says microwave safe, right?
Right. That just means it ain't gonna melt or blow the microwave up or
Yeah, but
break.
is
I
it
mean, yeah,
yeah, Oh no, and Scotty's also coming up with another hashtag,
Yeah, we'll have to get
last
back to that in a minute.
brain, a new
Yeah.
superhero name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess the question, I mean, bro, is, I mean, can we get them out? Can we get rid of them?
right,
Or, and I mean, I'll even ask the chat this, y'all guys listen, are microplastics a health crisis or just an overblown scare? I mean, but it's kind of a question. But, main thing is if they're already in us, how do we get them out? I mean,
right,
and I mean, I don't know. It's because, I mean, the human body is incredible actually at defending itself. I mean, when I was listening to him talk about the blood-brain barrier and the follicle and the testes and all these things, these different barriers that the human body, you know, has to defend itself, and then even the filter system with the liver, the kidneys, the all those things that are always filtering things out. I mean,
mhm,
you know, what I mean, does it not? I mean, it's powerful. It does all these things, but yet, as he said, in postmortems, they're finding it all throughout the body in
right.
barriers that are designed to not let things get through. You know, I mean,
And it's really effective at, our bodies are amazing designs with a lot
right,
of filters in it, as you were saying. But if all these post-mortem studies, if it means what I think it means, is
right,
that we don't filter them out. And here's the thing, even if we are filtering them out by being aware of it and then stop using it as much,
right,
um, can it get rid of all of it?
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that was later on, those things stay lodged. Uh, and there's pathways that do help remove some. But one of the things that I would think, I mean, because I think about the body and how it works, that staying hydrated, sweating, even though we don't like it, but sweating opens up and pushes things out. I mean, you know, uh, and even fiber, to keep our internal systems functioning proper, and the liver's, detox and what it's designed to do. But remember, we've talked many times about how much we overwork that liver with things we put in,
Oh, yeah.
um, and but one of the things that, I was reading here a while back, and it was about fiber and it was about that stuff. And is that the average American, I won't say human because I don't know the rest of the world, but the average American doesn't consume anywhere near the daily volume of fiber that we should
Right.
in order to keep our system functioning, because that fibers, little things like these plastics attach to those fibers and move on out of the system. But if we're not putting enough in there, it's not cleaning that stuff out. It's not filtering it at the rate that it should, uh, you know, through
Right.
that part of the system, and what it's designed to do. But I don't,
Right.
so
Well, I guess then there's kind of a silver lining here, is that
right,
there are things that we can do to try to flush these things out of our system. And some of the
right,
things listed here is like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower uh,
right,
to support liver detoxification.
right,
And so that's kind of going right along with, I guess, some of the fibers and things that we can put in our body to,
right. Well,
you know,
yeah, right. Eh,
right.
You know,
And
go ahead.
so,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and we've got a really big gland that helps us to do that too, and that is like sweating.
right,
Boy, sitting behind the computer all day, there's not a whole lot of sweat except for
right,
maybe on my brow, but there's not a lot of sweating sitting behind a computer all day long.
right,
But it was listing some things like more exercise, sauna, and sweating, as a natural aid.
yeah. Now, I will say to our homesteaders out there that have
Um,
animals and have work to do, you're probably sweating a lot during certain times of year, depending on the activity. But I mean, so that's a good thing. But how many of us, I mean, at a certain point, now I know for all those out there that have kept on exercising and kept on going, hey, awesome. Because I promise you, I haven't, but, and I remember going into saunas and how much water, how much fluids leave the body in a sauna experience is crazy. How much you can. I was side story. I was helping, non-fictional story time. Anyway, I was helping a soldier getting a guy trying to join the army, and he needed to lose a bunch of weight, and so we would go work out, hit the gym, treadmill and stuff, maybe play some basketball, sweat and sweat and sweat, and then we would go into the sauna. And before he would go, and I'm getting soaked without it, but he would put on a plastic trash bag before he went into the sauna, which amplifies that,
Wow.
and it would pull he would literally, when we got done, he would open that bag and it would just be, I mean, a gallon of water just, you know,
Right.
fall out of that bag. So, I mean, we've got so much in there that we can, those sauna treatments and stuff can open up those pores and get things to come out of the body, in a pretty good way. But,
You
one of
know,
the things we can do
mhm.
is something Scotty brought up about earlier. Uh, Stop microwaving in plastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I do
uh,
want to go back just a second to what you said about this guy that you knew
yeah,
putting on a
yeah,
plastic bag
uh-huh,
and sweating out a gallon. I wonder if
yeah.
they've done any studies on that sweat to see if it's actually working, that they can identify microplastics in
Um, uh,
sweat, you know?
Probably. I mean, I mean, if it's, it's a natural detox method, is sweat.
Yeah,
That's part of it. Is it pushes out, you know, uh, things, you know, that you're not supposed to have. I mean,
so
you get a fever, you get a cold. What is one of the things your body does? It sweats.
right,
It's trying to
and they
push that
say
out.
try to
With a
make it
fever,
sweat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, try to make it sweat. And
Yeah,
you
and,
know,
by the way, bro, I don't know if you remember this or not, but, and I came kicking and screaming into this, whole idea, but my wife said, "Oh, the doctor lady that, I work for, she's getting rid of her sauna because they no longer use it. Can you go help me pick it up?" And I'm like, "What are we gonna do with a sauna?"
now you know.
We have one.
Now
We
you
have one
know.
in our sunroom right now that just became a storage unit. I think once my wife hears this, she's going to probably start just throwing things out, and plugging that baby in, and that's
Oh,
all. Yeah,
right. Listen, it's. I mean, it's not my. There's two different kinds. There's a dry sauna and a wet sauna. I mean, there's two different kinds. Um, I will tell you, it's not my favorite activity, but it is effective at doing that. And I mean, another thing that we can do is local. We talk about it all the time, and for many of you, you grow your own food anyway. But local food supply, so that
yeah,
it's not coming pre-plastic in a bag. It's not coming wrapped in, find you someplace a process, whatever. If you're buying local, or if you're raising your own and you're wrapping in papers or you're wrapping in things, versus, in the plastic wrap. But because I mean, we can't we can't seal the homestead. You can't cut plastic off, you know. But we can choose how we put things in the pantry. We can choose how we do things. But that what we're not putting in makes it a whole lot easier to get out. Uh, what's already there. I mean, we can't hide from. I mean, I like you said, it's in everything. But
yeah.
you know,
So,
and
bro,
yeah,
we're about to get into how to avoid
right.
microplastics
And that's what I was starting
getting
to
in your
talk about.
body.
Yeah, yeah,
But I want to. I think we need to stop and take a
yeah. We need to go over to the scroll.
tablers over there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
So, well, good morning, Ed. Good to see you. And yes,
right.
interesting topic. And let's see, let's go all the way back to the top over here. Of course, Scotty, we'd already mentioned Scotty was in before the lights were even on. So,
Oh
he
yeah.
was as usual. And, you know, anyway, some update for Scotty. For those who hadn't read it, one of a new place, no furniture except an L-shaped couch. Bed's coming today. I'm sure you're looking forward to that part, getting off the couch, Scotty. But anyway, God loves you, and so do I.
My question is, Scotty, who gets the short end of the L?
There you go. Yeah, good morning to the wild huckleberry. Good morning, Robbie. Glad to see you in, buddy. Good morning, Rebecca Touched by Yarn. Hope you're still in with us. Good morning, Tracy, with our kitchen with Tracy and Tim. Let's see. Did I not miss nobody? Okies Eden. Good morning, Jason. Hey, good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Of course, Scott, we'd already talked about this comment that Scotty had said about using plastic to reheat our food in the microwave.
Yeah.
We've all done it. I do it. We all do it, and we need to stop, but we all do it. And of course, we do have a poll out, as we've said. We do have a poll, so go over and click that. Anyway, this one Robbie put, and this is a good one. Don't reuse plastic water bottles. Don't use plastic water bottles at all. Is really
At all.
but definitely don't reuse them. Good morning, Petra Beer. Good to see you in. I hope you're still with us. And Scotty's comment about hashtag plastic brain, a new superhero name. LOL. Yeah. But anyway, and he follows it up with they probably can get rid of them, but we know that they won't. Do 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 do.
I
Anyway,
mean, let's just say they stopped manufacturing, completely got rid of plastic. How many
oh, good grief! You'd have
years?
to You'd have to
Yeah,
redesign everything. You'd have to redesign everything, the whole systems, and um, let's see. And Robbie put this one up: foreign stuff in your body that isn't designed for the body can't be good. Yeah,
I mean, that's where I was at on it. Is like, they were saying, well, the science is not yet clear, and I'm thinking,
right. It's pretty. It
you
looks pretty
know,
clear. Yeah.
uh, I'm not going to wait until the science is clear
Well,
for us.
look where that's gotten us. Yeah,
Right.
look where that's gotten us in other areas. You know.
This is not new, but Scott brought it to our attention,
Uh-huh.
I think it was on Monday, and we kind of started down the path of our research at that point. And I thought, why haven't I thought about that? Because the C word comes up, and I don't mean the pandemic word. I'm talking about cancer. I hate to hear the word. I hear it so
Right.
often, and according to my understanding, it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. How much of microplastics is related to that is a huge question in my mind.
Well, if we, if you go back, I mean, a lot of what he said was that there's not a lot of, uh, what you call direct connection evidence. In other words, it's a direct tie. It absolutely is certain, but there's a lot of correlative
Yeah.
damage. The onset of plastics. This plastic became so common in everything. Well, the rise in the C word. The rise in cancers, the rise in brain disorders, the rise in some of these things that correlates in the timeline. You know, so is it direct causal? They can pinpoint to a fact. No, the science hasn't backed that up yet, or the health studies. It's not, as he said, it's not been enough time. It's not been enough data. But
Of
we can
research.
of
But it's
research.
been plenty of time to get from the deepest parts of our oceans to the top of the mountains.
Right. I mean, they find this stuff everywhere. And
Yeah.
I want to finish up saying good morning to Greg Duncan. Of course, I'd already said good morning to Ed Kirkpatrick. Glad to have you with us, buddy. Um, and let's see. Robbie says he's working in the woods, so I might lose y'all. And Scotty says Sasquatch hunting Robbie. So
Ah,
ask the question. Sasquatch
okay.
hunting, Robbie? Yeah. Well, don't
Yeah.
hunt Sasquatch. Don't hunt Sasquatch.
Yeah. Leave Sasquatch alone. As I hear, he's
He's
not
pretty,
that bad. He's a
yeah, and
pretty
he might hunt back. I'm just
He
saying.
could hunt back. There's that other part too.
Yeah. But
What do you do when
anyway,
Sasquatch's got
yeah.
them?
So bro, I guess we need to transition into, how do we avoid this? How do we get this,
Right.
how do we avoid these things? Because prevention, the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm going to preface this section with it's, we were just kind of talking about it, virtually impossible to completely eliminate it from your life. I mean,
Right.
everywhere you go, get in your car, walk through your house, you're going, it's in the air. I mean, you wonder why your steak tastes like a Tupperware dish. Well, it's, because it's everywhere. And if it's getting into things like feeds, it's, your the precious 5 gallon bucket.
Oh, I
that
know,
that ev-
right?
you know,
It's like the holy grail of,
the homestead, right? Yeah, but yet it's plastics, and so I mean, if your cow, if it's getting into your livestock, well, then it's going to transfer. I mean, it's no different for them if they eat it. So that's what I'm saying is you're not going to totally avoid it,
right,
but there are things we can do to limit the amount. Like we were saying,
right,
don't microwave in plastic. Filter your water.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
bro, I want you to talk about that because you've ordered a
yeah.
filter.
Yeah, so
And
that was the first question that I actually asked, bro, was, you know, how's it getting into me? What's probably the number one way that this is getting into me other than breathing? I mean, I don't know how much it's in the air, but I do definitely know that we drink and notice the past tense in there out
right,
of water bottles.
right,
And so immediately now I know that reverse osmosis water filters reportedly work very well about taking microplastics out. But
right,
quite a while back, a couple of years back, I bought a Alexa Pro water filter that sets up on my countertop, and you just pour water in it, and it filters down to the bottom, and then you can drink clean water. And I was using the filters that came with it, and but I was doing my research, and I couldn't find anything that says that it was rated with what they call a a certificate of 401. 401
right,
is that certificate that they need to have to be certified to, be small enough to get the microplastics out.
right.
Now, I did find one through Pro One, and by the way, I can tell you, Pro One, listen to me, Pro One. When I text you or I call you, don't have an AI answering that takes me absolutely nowhere. That's crazy. Customer service should still be a thing, and I'm a little mad at you, okay? I'm just saying. But they do have the certification 101, and I do have filters that are ordered. Now they're quite expensive, and that was one of the things that I wanted to look at. I wanted to compare and contrast how much water we actually drink out of a bottle at my house.
Right.
And let me tell you, a case of 48, that won't last us a week.
Wow.
All right, here in my home. And so I calculated the cost at roughly around $6 a case. I think that's what it was, or closer to 5, maybe whatever it was. But it
Right.
turns out, now you guys are going to be shocked. I bought 3 filters,
Mhm.
okay, from Pro
Hang
One.
on. Hang on, everybody.
Right. $208 for those 3 filters. And I thought, man, why are these things so expensive? Is it really worth me going through all this trouble? And so I calculated one of those 48 packs a week here in our house. And it turns out that if you calculate the use of it for 6 months, it's actually cheaper to get the filters and use those filters and have better water than it is to um, just buy the plastic. Okay. Those plastics costed me a little bit more than those filters did. So do the math in your own home. You know what you use, but
Right.
either way it goes, the question became, is it worth paying that price for me to get rid of this out of our drinking water? Because drinking water is not just straight drinking water. We use it to make other things like tea and coffee, and we also use it for mixing up, not Kool-Aid, but other flavored drinks and that sort of thing. And so for me, the answer was pretty clear. It's
Right.
worth the price of getting those filters. Now, it wasn't only the filters that we went after,
Yeah.
but we thought about, okay, let's take a look in our shelf and see how many of our containers are plastic on the outside, or we
Right.
drink like the lids are mostly plastic, but the inside is stainless. So I ordered, a couple of stainless steel, both the lid and the container itself
Right.
is stainless steel.
Right. So, bro, how much counter space do you now have?
I'm running out.
You're running out.
Yeah.
Took the plastic out and put replacement parts in.
Well,
uh,
I'm looking at everything that we make stuff in, and or
my
like we
gosh.
got this slushy machine that there's
Right.
just a lot. There's a lot of plastic here.
Oh, everywhere, but I mean, that's one of the things is, getting those things out, um, you know, and, we breathe this stuff in. So there's actually filters, for, like HEPA filters and stuff. And we need to check, and I haven't researched, but I know, for your AC unit, for air, the things you breathe around,
Right.
and,
So how
uh,
to avoid breathing microplastics?
right. And, one of those things they say is spend more time, and this should be pretty easy for our homesteaders and our tablers, spend more time outdoors, in natural areas where possible, And one of the banes of my existence, keeping household dust under control, uh, because apparently microfiber shedding happens indoors.
Hmm.
Actually, I think it does because it's on countertops and it's everywhere else, but and off our clothes. I mean, just everywhere. I mean, I got plastic running right up in my and on. I mean, it's everywhere. Um, but we talked about, and you kind of brought it up a little bit. We talked about microwaving, uh, but avoiding storing in it as well.
Yeah.
Going
Yes.
glass. It even says, one of the things that we researched, uh, even the plastic wrap, that there's beeswax wraps, which I've not used. That's interesting. But glass lids, that type of thing, and it talked about single use containers. Now, I had to think on that one for a minute, but then I realized, I do my clean cooking, right? And it comes in
Yeah.
a plastic container that you microwave, you know, and then you could use. We don't reuse it, but you could clean it and reuse it, but we don't. I mean, but it's like, yeah, there's so many things, and I mean, now this one I knew about, and we're kind of moving through this, but limit synthetic fibers like what you wear,
Oh,
um,
right.
because things like polyester, nylon, and spandex, they're made of plastic. That's what they are. It's plastic fibers. It is the very thing we're talking. It is plastic fibers, and I only know this. I already knew it even before we researched because my wife does resell. So we've learned clothing materials, and we've learned these things through what she does with clothing. And so when we're shopping for clothes, like one of the things we do, not just a label or the brand, but what's the material? And if it's any of those things, we don't buy them because they're bad. They're bad for the environment. They're bad for and they don't resell anyway. So I mean, it's like but it's like there's uh, you know, and it says this one I don't know how to deal with. Wash clothes less often. I
Yeah.
don't know
How do
how.
you do that?
Well, it says we use a microfiber filter bag.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's one I need to research
Never
because
heard of a microfiber filter bag.
I got to do laundry. So,
Yeah.
uh, but it does says, you know,
But I
it says,
think,
you
yeah,
know,
go ahead.
well, I was going to say, it talks about higher quality natural fabrics.
Right.
Is a big
Like
thing.
cotton.
Cotton,
There it
linen.
is.
Um,
Linen. Yeah.
I've got a couple of linen shirts. I love my linen shirts. Uh, I've got one that's black, and for something that's black, and black is usually heavy, this thing is so lightweight. It's so comfortable. Yeah. And I love my linen shirts. But, so, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. I mean, that's just kind of some things, uh, one of the things I'd wrote down, less plastic and more purpose, um, and
Yeah.
maybe drink your coffee from a mug that's older than your kids. You
Right. Well, a lot of
know?
stuff still, as far as the coffee thing, just like the one you've got right now that says farm to table on it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
there, that
yeah.
is, that's ceramic, right?
Yep.
And so it's okay to drink out of ceramic as far as we know until the
As
next
far as we know, till the
thing,
next thing. Yeah.
right? Nothing.
Good. Yeah. Good morning to the Dyer family farm, Dina and
Good
Miss
morning,
Dyer.
Jack.
I'm
Good
assuming
morning.
Jack, but hijacking his wife's channel again. But
Mhm.
anyway, but he's probably got something running on his. If I know Jack, but anyway. So, bro, I don't know where do we go? How do we? I mean, what do we do? Do we go through and scour the house and you know, uh, I mean, what do we do here?
I know the answer in this family is we're already starting.
Right.
Here's my challenge to all the tablers out there. Just do a walk through your house and
Right.
look at everything that's plastic and anything that it makes sense to get rid of it. You
Right.
was talking about the storage thing, and
Yeah.
like I said, I just keep seeing my wife just start throwing things out. I'm thinking I'm gonna go into my closet and just start doing the same thing, and we'll have a pile of stuff.
Uh, okay.
But
Okay.
don't get crazy and don't worry about it is one of the things I
Right.
wanna leave people with.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's awareness, not panic or alarmism. Not no, don't go out and panic. And like I said, start just going crazy through the pantries and through your refrigerator and everything. Just throw it. Be purposeful with it if you're going to do that. I mean, we all need to, but be purposeful and be calm. It's not it's something you can work on, and should focus on and be purposeful, but it doesn't something you got to have a panic mode attack going on. And
Right.
Dina said Jack's hunting, but she's also watching in his channel in the TV. Okay, well, cool. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Dina.
Yeah.
And good as the mornings, as Greg said. And I hope happy hunting to Jack. So anyway, so okay, so I will say this. The closer we are to our food source when it comes to food, uh, uh, and environment, the closer we are, that keeps us, healthier, keeps us more connected to it. And Scotty is getting out of control over here. Uh,
I don't know if she was anything like a Barbie,
uh,
plastic.
well, I'm sure Karen will promptly answer that question for you, Scotty.
Oh, go to the source, Scotty.
Go to
Go
the
to
source. Go to the source.
And with that, I'm going to double down on what Ryan said about going to the source. And one of the questions that I had about the farm to table, or about this topic was, how is this related to the farm to table? And maybe you guys are already on top of this and you already know, but how this is related is it really fits well into our lifestyle of homesteading. And we always teach about going to a local source for your food. For example, if you're going to buy beef, wouldn't it be great if you got into some type of a beef share, or maybe you just got into buying from a local processor? Because some local processors, the one in my town, also has a butcher shop there. So they're a processor and a butcher shop. So I can go there and hopefully be able to get my pork or my chicken um, or my beef there at that butcher shop, and they don't wrap it in things that are made of plastic. I'll have to double check on
Right.
that, but that was one of my routes. But anyway, going back to the source is what we teach. You
Right.
know, know your source and
Well,
shop local, right?
well, that's it. That's so much of it, and um, is knowing where things come from. And like where Keith's talking about, I've lived, I've been to those places. Now, listen, something we had a discussion this week, getting ready for this, is you go down to a butcher shop or a meat processor, that type of thing. They've gotten their meat from somewhere, which means it was probably transported and shipped in some kind of plastic or bagging or some type of something before it ever got to their butcher shop.
Yeah.
But a meat processor who processes there on site and then butchers into cuts and everything and sells, his is far less likely, because I know everything I've ever bought, because I've got a couple of those over here in this area that you can do both. It's a processing shop, it's a location, but they sell product. Every one of them wrapped in paper, no plastic.
Right.
So I mean, there is a difference in them, in what you get. But I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave this off with a challenge. Just pick a change, small one. Don't have to be big. switch to glass water bottles, or eat more whole foods. Maybe ditch a few plastic containers. Okay, just work in steps. You don't got to go out and now, Scotty. Since you're moving, everything is packed up. So when you come into the house with it, you can make decisions. Okay,
You got a fresh start there,
you
bro.
you got. I mean, you got a fresh start. You could look at it when it comes in and just decide if it comes in or not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but
before we move on, I do want to check our poll, bro.
let's check the poll. Let's see what the poll
See what
says.
the poll says.
Poll. Yeah, anyway.
Okay, let's try it. I said, okay, so the poll's question was, do you think microplastics are a serious health concern or just overhyped media noise? And here's what it said. 38% of the tablers said
Boom.
they're a real threat.
Oh, hey.
Okay. 25% said, maybe. 12% said, nah, not really. And people who were not sure was also 25%. So anyway, I don't know what you're going to, I would say that the largest percent was either maybe, not really, or not sure. So at least maybe we're bringing some awareness to some people, which
Right.
is really great. But it's really good to see that 38%,
Yeah.
38% says they are a real threat. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's Miss Dina's comment about it. So
Okay, Miss Dana, what you got?
she says, I'm thinking about this a lot. I'm glad you guys are speaking on it today. So there we go.
All right. Yeah, so I'd be interested to hear, what you guys have done, and the challenge is get back to us sometimes in the future if you heard this broadcast
Right.
about microplastics, and tell me how this affected you guys and what you did about it. If anything.
Right. Okay. And this one's and yes, we've that's one of the possibilities. It says hurt is a serious hormone disruptor.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard.
and that's the concern is because this gets into the endocrine system,
Mm,
which is of course the hormones. It gets into the reproductive system.
yeah,
There's some concern at getting into the cardiovascular and of course the pulmonary, the lungs, and the heart, all those things, and of course, the brain. That one's one that Uh, concerns. Alzheimer's is a terrible thing. Dementia and Alzheimer's is a terrible
yeah,
thing. And our father had my father had it, and uh, his brother had it. One of my aunts had dementia towards the end of her time. I mean, it's and I've known so many other people that have been affected by it, and I will tell you, it is a terrible thing to have to watch
yeah,
and have to deal with. But when I start thinking about these things that we've put in, and you start telling me something like that gets into the blood brain barrier, you know, because my thing I struggled with when it was my uncle and my dad, I struggled with this for a long time, never got an answer, and probably will never will. But it was like, this is two brothers who had the same thing when they died.
yeah,
What is other than their blood, other than their genetics, other than, their brothers, what was the common factors? What things were in common? These were not, I mean, so it just, and, it bugged me for a long time because it's like, okay, what can I do to change this? Because I don't want it, you
right.
know?
Well,
Uh,
here's
yeah,
here's one thing, bro, that you can actually do something about
right. And
probably.
that's limit plastics. And,
See,
can't get rid of them, but we can limit them. So yeah, very good stuff. Bro, I'm looking
yeah,
at that TikTok up there and we need to rock and roll. We need to get,
yeah.
get ready to get
There
everybody
will
out of
be
here.
no sports broadcast today.
No, Mr. P had to work, and Scott is under the weather. So we it's just Keith and I. So no sports today. Although I will say, go Razorbacks. They're playing Auburn today. Yay! But anyway, and the Arkansas basketball team and an exhibition team last night smoked Cincinnati. So hey, that's a good thing.
Well, there you go. There's your sports.
I
There
got a
are
little sport. You got a little sports, but anyway,
all
not as detailed as Mister P would have. But anyway,
right.
uh, but anyway, well, let's go on over, bro. If you're ready to move through this transition, again, folks, the information we bring, and there'll be a link in the description, I'm sure, but or somewhere to the video that we shared clips of, so you guys can go out. It's a lengthy video full length, but it's a lot of information packed in there and a lot of research and stuff like that. So definitely worth going to check out that full video and research on your own. You know,
Yeah.
we just bring the surface information and talk a little bit about it. And so take this stuff and, you know, like I said, walk through your house, take a look, and really just, even if you don't do anything, I mean, I hope you do, but just the observation, if you really look around at how much things in our world are plastic now. And
Yeah. And just real quick, bro, just
yeah,
for the people who may want to know, look this professor up. His
there it is.
channel is Andrew Huberman. That's all it's
Yeah.
under. It's Andrew Huberman. So look that up. I don't have a link to it right here with me,
Okay.
but you know, just want to thank, you know, Professor Andrew Huberman, you know,
Yeah.
for the use of his video. And it's very educational, and you guys go check it out and watch the whole thing, because it's got a lot more detail in there, and there's other information on the web about it also.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robbie, I'm not going to read that comment, so sorry. Y'all can see it in the chat if you want, but I refuse to acknowledge such a thing. But anyway, anyway,
That shall go unacknowledged.
that shall go unacknowledged. But anyway,
Yeah.
because the way you phrase that tells me who you're rooting for, so or rooting against. Anyway, but anyway, so let's move right along. It is time to go check out the Redneck Weather Report and see what's happening in the world of Jack Dyer. Of course, we know he's in the deer stand right now. So, I mean, that's.
Well, good morning, Rednecks. It is 60 degrees this morning, October the 25th, 2025. We got a light drizzle. Got 9-mile-an-hour southeast wind making it feel like it's 57 degrees. Dew point's 55, and we're getting to 68 degrees today with a lot of chance of rain. God bless y'all. We'll see you again tomorrow. Well, good morning.
All right. Sounds pretty nice out there in Jack's world. Little bit warm for hunting, but you know, anyway, you know, I don't know. But anyway, so hopefully he has a good day. So there's the weather. Go over there, check it out. Jack puts that out every morning. The Redneck Weather Report, and Coffee and Bible with Jack is his other channel, and I think I got that right. Dina can correct me, but anyway, and bright and early in the morning when he does those things, but you can catch him on the replay.
Rain, hail, sleet, or snow, Jack Dyer will be.
I mean, unless there's something he just ain't where he can. Yeah. But okay. So today's brain buster. You're gonna love this one, bro. This one's fun. What if this planet is a reality TV show for other planets?
What on this planet is
No,
a reality?
what if this planet? What if this planet is a reality TV show for the other planets?
I think we're all a part of a big experiment. Do you remember the Truman Show?
There you go. Right. The Truman. Yeah. Truman.
Yeah, we're
There
all
you
in
go.
the Truman Show, guys.
There you go. I will promise you there was some other ones that I had that I was like, yeah, but then I was like, man, to have to, they were, I was like, you got to make it simple enough that I can read it and it not just, yeah. There was
You
some
know,
of them.
God has got to be looking down on us and laughing and sometimes crying and sometimes scratching
Oh,
his head and thinking, what have I
yeah.
done?
No doubt about that, man. No doubt. But anyway, so now this quote, I don't have a source to cite for it other than AI. And I didn't get it. You know, I was trying. My computer was acting up, so I didn't get to find if this actually is a quote from somebody. But I put in because when I go looking for quotes, I'll share what I do. I go into my search engines and I'll put quote of the day about X, and today it was microplastics. All right, see if I can tie it in. That's just what I do. A little behind, a little secret sauce there for those. You know, it ain't real complicated. All right, I don't overthink it. But anyway, but this is what it spit out. And when I was reading the other quotes, I'm like, nothing surpassed this. And this was what it said. No matter how far man travels in space, microplastics will have been there before him. Microplastics will be the death of everyone.
Maybe that was Isaac Asimov.
Maybe, I don't know. Microplastics will inhabit the known universe eventually, including us, mankind will become the new Ken and Barbie in the near future. This is
Oh,
what AI had to say about it.
it's funny. We're all part Ken and Barbie right now.
Right? No kidding. But
Right.
yeah, that was some of the quotes that was some of the things that AI. They were all different quotations there. But I read that and I'm like, I just got to share that. I just got to
Yeah.
share. This is what the generated
Life,
answer, huh?
life in plastic. So fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can be a Barbie girl in a Barbie world if you want
No.
to. But
uh,
anyway, so there you go. Just a little thought for the day. No matter where you go, plastic is there. Anyway, but anyway, so upcoming events, folks. The schedule is actually quite clear for the foreseeable future. I did have the count the other day of the 160 something days we are to Okie Homestead Expo. But anyway, if Ed's still listening, I bet he knows. But anyway, uh, but Okie Homestead Expo is the first thing on my list, which is March 20th and 21st, 2026 at the Mays County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma. You can go onto Facebook and the .coms and find that. Information. Looking forward to it. It's going to be another great year. A lot of excitement about that. And Dr. Temple Grandin going to be there as the keynote speaker this year, along with about 39 to 40 other speakers and presenters. So a great weekend right there. Looking forward to that. 10 Killer YouTube meetup, Lake 10 Killer, Oklahoma, April 17th to the 19th, 2026. You can go on to You can go on to 10 Killer YouTube meetup on Facebook, or you can, Jack and Christine Gillum are the ones that kind of put that together, along with a nice crew of people that help them and volunteers. Central Arkansas Homestead Conference, first year conference coming up April 17th and 18th at the Conway Expo Center in Conway, Arkansas. Central Arkansas Homesteading.com is their website. You can go check them out. I've spoke with the one of the people that's putting that on, and looking for that to be a great event in Central Arkansas in April. Moving into May, let me see where I'm at here. 26th semi-annual Midwest Preparedness Project Spring Festival, May 5th through the 10th in Bloomington. Bloomington. Wrote this down. Bloomington West Campground. Anyway, it's Lawrence, Kansas. It's where that's at. And I'll get that actually out on where I can read it a little bit better. But anyway, you can go out and just, if you look up Midwest Preparedness Project, you can find information out about that. That comes from our good friend Braden, who chimes in from time to time. He's part of that project if there goes to that. So anyway, then Mid-America YouTube meetup at Lake Texoma, Oklahoma this year, down in Lake Texoma, May 15th through the 17th. 2025. You can also look up Mid-America YouTube meetup on Facebook, and Mike and Terry from MT Homestead are the ones that kind of spearhead that little project. Man, it's supposed to be a good time dinner. Modern Homesteading Conference, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, June 26th and 27th. That's good for y'all folks out in the West Northwest. Ozarks Homesteading Expo, September 4th and 5th. Anyway, Marshfield, Missouri. Anyway, another great year up there. Looking forward to it. I know that they'll have another great expo going that weekend, and a lot of good friends like Air to Ground that we just recently had on the show, which is where we met them there. A lot of other great homesteading environment there, really enforced. And of course, rounding out what I have, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, September 25th and 26th at the Southeast Expo Center in McAllister, Oklahoma. And I will say that things are, I'm seeing stuff on Facebook. I'm seeing a lot of posts. I'm seeing a lot of follows and stuff. It does appear to be getting a lot of attention. People trying to get it shared out. And so Chris alluded to the fact that she had something exciting. It was going to be something different, but she hasn't shared. So I don't know. There's things to follow there. But anyway, well, bro, that is the upcoming events that I have on my piece of paper. Anything else from you?
Not a word, not a peep.
Anyway, all right. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody in our chat today. I appreciate the comments, everybody checking in and participating in the poll. Appreciate that. We value the information, the feedback that you get helps us. But anyway, that is a wrap for today on the Farm to Table Show. Thanks for joining us as we strive towards building stronger communities for now and in the future. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit that like button, give us a thumbs up. More importantly, share it with your friends, okay? And if you're not already, subscribe to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is the best way to stay connected and help grow the conversation about food, freedom, and community. Until next time, keep your roots deep and your vision growing. Good food starts and freedom starts with great people just like you. All right. Remember, we are hashtag stronger together, hashtag connect and grow, hashtag think outside the big box store, shop local, hashtag tablers unite, and hashtag plastic brain uh, for today. But anyway, so again, thank you everybody for the comments. Thank you in the chat. Good to see you all. And we will, of course, be back next Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, with a topic to be announced. And hopefully we'll have the rest of the gang back with us. And,
Yeah, Scott's
you
going
know,
to be here.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. Here, actually, he'll be physically in studio. So yeah, that's right. So coming into town for a few days. But anyway, so appreciate everybody joining us there, and look forward to seeing you all out there. In the socials and the places like that. So as you go through life, be a blessing to someone this week. Even a smile can make someone's day. And as we close every episode of the Farm to Table Show, prepare for the unexpected and
And
keep
keep
it
it local.
right. Hank, where you at there? Take it away, Hank.
Bye-bye.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.